It's, as you'll see, it is a fairly complicated instrument, arguably the most complicated instrument.
Bold statement.
It is a bold statement. There's a lot going on. Getting this steel put up for me, I appreciate it. Yeah, give it a jiggle, a jiggle. Okay. Now see down in the middle there, that's the flux capacitor. That's what makes time travel possible. Get this up to 88 beats per minute, you're gonna see some serious...
What? When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious...
Tip for all the kids out there, don't play an instrument that you have to take apart and put back together all the time. Truly, just kidding, you should. Tyler refused to...
I couldn't tech today.
When this thing's gonna be upside down, so I'll be hitting these pedals, right? Every one of these rods represents a string that's getting pulled, or raised or lowered. And when that's happening, see, it's going all the way down here. And then when I flip over, I'll show you the top side, but it's pulling these mechanisms that are then pulling the strings. Don't drop it when I see I can kind of stick to the gloves.
Is it heavy? How much is that thing weigh?
It's not too bad. 30 pounds, something, you know.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Travis Toy, I met at Andy's Woodshed.
That's right.
Guitar Experience, Andy Wood.
Our friend Andy Wood, who I'm sure you guys know is an avid guitarist.
I'll say.
Yeah, he's good at it. He's good at guitar. No, we met at that thing. I did a few years where I was in the house band to back up, you know, Bonamassa and Robin Ford and all these people as essentially kind of the keyboard player. Mark Lettieri was playing and sent me these charts. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna play.
Textural.
Yeah, it was just textural. Me just playing chords and changes and being the keyboard player, but I think everybody that did that event got a big kick out of that. Any of these guys that do guitar shows, and you know, Mark and Robin and Joe, or any of these guys, it's always like a band that's usually keys and bass and drums or whatever. And then when, you know, they showed up and I was doing this, and it's just a different sound.
I'm glad that we got to reconnect today because
for sure.
I've been curious. I've seen your Instagram posts playing to stadiums with people like Luke Bryan. Session work with countless other artists. The difference between electric guitar and steel guitar that I'm noticing is the fretting, because you're not going like this. You're going like this. Yeah. And it seems like you're covering a lot of an entire cascading position of a typical guitar on like one fret.
Yeah, there's a lot of like sort of vertical, you know, like your whole scale.
Yeah, that's
there,
crazy
right?
to me. Like,
but you could, I mean, you could. I mean, there's other ways to do it, but. I got to move for the very end, but to go down the full 2 octaves, right? But see, the end gets weird, but I can go.
Can't go that fast.
Like sort of these rolling, for all the flashy stuff I can do, at the end of the day, if you go do a gig, people really just want to hear you go. Like that's the sound that people love, right? Start bending that third, man. That's the money.
Yeah, you bend the when you start suspending notes, you got me. of all the other instruments, why does this one resonate with you the most?
Man, that's a great question. My dad played, and I think that might be the only reason that like a 11, 12-year-old would even attempt it, because there's one already sitting in the house.
Yeah.
You know, because like, I mean, it's not a cheap instrument either. You can't go to Guitar Center and buy a $99 starter steel. I mean, you got to have like thousands of dollars to even get a cheap one, you know. So that in a lot of ways is out of reach for a kid, unless you're, you know,
Lucky to have one.
Yeah, just lucky to have one. So yeah, I actually started on drums first, and so my dad also played drums, very good drummer. One summer break, my mom, I was probably killing, I was practicing drums like on the other side of a wall. I'm sure she was about to lose her mind, and in her wisdom, she said, hey, you know, if you're bored with drums, you should go try to play your dad's steel guitar. And I went, okay.
As long as you're playing on drums.
Oh,
at
you know
that
what?
time.
So this will a little insight too. I was listening to like GRP, like fusions, like Dave Weckl records and John Patitucci records.
So you were doing like all these triplets and like drag
just
beats and
merciless,
fusion
yeah, absolutely merciless. Like, you know, 16th note triplets through a wall, and my mom's trying to.
Your mom's like, did he drop the drums down the stairs?
Yeah,
what does
I'm
that
sure.
sound?
Yeah, it was not a big house either. I mean, it was like she couldn't get away from it. And I had heard, you know, I'd grown up sort of hearing my dad play, so it was not foreign to me, but I'd never tried to play it. And I don't know, I sit down and got sucked in, man. It's I think anybody that starts playing these things will tell you there's something a little, not that there's not something addictive about learning and, you know, any instrument, but I don't know, this is such a fascinating contraption, and it does so many interesting things, and it does so many things that you can't do on guitar, these parallel, you know, like bends going different ways and all the things that
We're going to try. There's going to be a point in this video where I try and sound like a steel guitar. And you're going to give me some pointers. But I think a good place to start would be, this instrument is one of the few instruments that when you play it, if somebody knows how to play it, it's one of those instruments that will immediately bring a smile to someone's face, where they're just like, oh, I know that sound.
Yeah.
And so is there like some more traditional sounds of a steel guitar that we can start with before we go off?
How about I'll just play Amazing Grace or something in a traditional style. I'll make this up as I go. One non-traditional. I had to give you one non-traditional.
That was beautiful.
But you know, all this all those types of sounds, you know. All those things are what are the traditional country embellishments, and those the bent thirds and all the.
From a guitar playing perspective, I'm hearing 3 notes at a time for some of those chords, and 2 of the notes are going different directions while one note is staying the same. Do I have that right?
Yeah. So there's a 1. So my triad is, so I'm in G, right? So that's a G dominant 7 voicing. It's a 9 on top, and a flat 7, and a 3rd in the bottom. The flat 7's resolving down, the 3 is going up, and the 9 is going, so I'm going, so I'm winding up, right, so I went from, so you've got this, right.
I'm trying to think of like,
how would you move that?
Yeah, like, so it would be like,
Let me get you a pedal. We'll hook a pedal up. Hold on.
I don't know.
Well, it's interesting because the top 2 are going down, so you're going. Those are bending down.
Oh.
Right. So the 9's bent down, and then those are both going down.
Yeah, but you're bending them. So my fingers would have to not only bend those two a half step down, but also slide
somehow,
into these.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
and then the interesting thing too is I can do that in different inversions of that triad. So I can go.
And it's all barred still, so you're not.
Yeah, yeah. So it's all. This is all happening in pedals, right? So.
And there's definitely a lot of right hand muting going on.
Yeah.
Which is probably
crucial.
Unsung
yeah,
part of
super crucial. Yeah. But yeah, that's interesting. So all of those, or, right? Or you can combine. You can combine different wider gripped. Spread out the voicing, you know. These are two different tunings, but this is an E9th tuning. We've got two E notes. It's an E9 because it has two F sharps in it, but it's E's and B's and G sharps, two F sharps, a major 7, and a flat 7 down low. So if you eliminate the flat 7, you could pretty E9. It's got a major 7 in it. That's kind of the redheaded stepchild in there. But so if you get rid of the 9s and the major 7s, you just look at the triad, right? The E triad. So there is a pedal that raises both of those B's up a whole step. Okay? So now you'd have an E6, right? Essentially, or even a whatever you want to call it, C sharp minor even. So that's that sound that you hear. There's another sort of main pedal that takes the G sharps to A. In this position, your 8th string is an E. That was your root. Now when I do this, now it's functioning as a 5th.
Yeah.
So the whole thing sort of inverts. Those two main pedals are kind of those are where all the traditional sounds are, right? All that. So I'll throw one more layer on it. Okay, so we had this. So we went from a 1, an E, to an A, a 4 chord. I have a knee lever. So under this guitar, I can press pedals and press knee levers, and I have all these combinations of, you know, raises and lowers and stuff. So one of the lowers is this. Lowers the E's to E flat.
That's where the notes are going in different directions.
Right.
I'm starting to see.
Pedals here. Now I'm going to my right, your left with right. Yeah. Without ever putting the bar down now, I have a 1, a 4, a 5 dominant 7, and a 1.
Wow.
There's also ones that, now I have a C sharp major triad. I have pedals that, you know, raise. Like all these different things, directions things are going, you know, opposite direction things happening. There's tons of that stuff. Like these types of things, which are fun, but that's the super basics of the tuning.
Is that just like a typical metal slide, like a guitar player would use, or something different?
No, here, it's got a little.
Whoa!
It's got a little weight to it. Yeah.
You could murder someone with this. It serves
well as a, you know, if you ever get in a tough spot in a bar, you know.
Yeah, this is like a gigantic bullet.
You don't get a lot of like sort of friction drag, you know, like you would get. It stays very clean. Like you can make it, I can do these things, but you know, it's a great bar, yeah. But yeah, it's a little different. There, as Tyler was saying, it weighs a lot more. The weight kind of helps with, I think, just feeling like there's something there to control, I think.
So you have a volume pedal down there?
A big part of the volume pedal really for steel is really like the sustain factor. So. Like I'm increasing, you know, as I go. I only picked once.
And you've just got some reverb on? Is that?
Yeah, just a little bit of reverb. I mean, I have a pedal board that has, I have all kind of fun stuff on this. Yeah.
Oh.
Right, these kind of of silly. Like, I mean, the origins of it are not, this is a pedal steel, but its origins are straight steel, or like even Hawaiian steel is sort of like, if you go back far enough, you know, it was sort of born out of that. And then guys were playing these straight steel, like old Fender 800s and 400s and stuff in, you know, Western swing and different things before pedals came along. And then, you know, sometime in the probably late 50s, early 60s, started rigging up literally with like coat hangers and like real crude mechanisms, like starting to pull strings and bend things and do, and then it sort of evolved to this. But it's pretty stereotyped as a country instrument because people always think of it as like these types of things, right? And that's fine, and it's interesting because that is, I don't know if there's another instrument that, I don't know, that really came to prominence just in one genre.
Sure.
Right? That's an interesting thing because guitar was being used all over and drums and every other instrument, right? But steel was like, it really was very, it came to light in country music. So that's sort of, it's gotten put in that spot. My statement is that don't put steel in a box. You know, just like
unless you're packing it up.
Unless you're packing it up. Yeah, as long as you wear the correct gloves, you can put steel in a box. No, in all seriousness, it's a really fun instrument. You know, it's a instrument that, I mean, there's still a lot of things. I feel like there's a lot of ground to be covered with steel. I just don't want this instrument to die. It certainly, I want young people to play it and know that it's cool and know that you can play, you know, slash licks in it or Chick Corea or country music or anything in between. You know, it's a really fun, versatile instrument, more than I think it gets credit for. So that's my mission. I did a thing where I was
or that's like actually how fast Frank Gambale hits.
yeah, get my broom out.